Welcome to Synced on Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and today I have Stephanie Baiocchi from Impact. Great to have you on, Stephanie. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was so fun to meet you in person. We've been liaising over email for a while because Impact graciously sponsored Marcus Sheridan to speak at our last Sync Live event in New Orleans just a little while ago in January 2026. So we've been talking over email, and it was just great to meet you. Thanks for coming to our event.
Yeah, it was great to meet you too. It was a great event. I mean, I love New Orleans. It's one of my favorite cities, so it was not a hard sell to get me there, but the event was really great.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it is kind of a refresh on how we were doing them before. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, the venue worked out well. Everybody
Yeah.
raved about Marcus's talk to kick it off. So, I think that really set the scene for some great conversations throughout the event. So, thank you so much
Yeah.
for
I'm glad he was able to
everything.
be there. He's such a great and engaging speaker, but the concepts are so important right now.
They are, and we're gonna go into that today.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, you are director of membership and events, and
Yes.
so do you go to every event?
No.
Or
So I run our events. So we do events kind of like Synced Live, where people come to us. So I run one in Chicago in the spring and one in Hartford, Connecticut in the fall. That's where our like HQ office is. And I do work with our other events that we sponsor and attend, but I'm really focused on our in-person events twice a year and then our online events in between that throughout the year.
okay, great. Oh gosh, I have to look that up too.
A lot of fun.
Well, why don't you, for those people who couldn't make it to Sync Live, why don't you set the scene? Who is Impact? What's endless customers?
Yeah.
Go into that, please.
Absolutely. So, Endless Customers is a system that is also a book. The book contains the system, and it is based on four pillars of becoming a known and trusted brand. Now, that's a lot to unpack, but there's a lot of reasons we need to be a trusted brand right now. And that is meaning trusted by people who want to give you their money. Trust is the emotion that makes people feel comfortable making a purchase decision. But trust is also important to AI. AI wants to trust that they're recommending the right solutions, and so there's something called trust signals, which is what tells the AI engines what your content is. So there's all kinds of stuff within there. And really nailing these four pillars is how you become the most known and trusted company in your market. And that's what everyone needs. So
Yes.
that's the book. It started out, Marcus Sheridan actually way back in the day had a pool company called River Pools. And he learned so much about what customers want, what buyers want, and how important it was for people to get transparent education during the buying process. And from then to now, how more and more people are researching on their own before ever reaching out to a company. And so it's so important to provide the content that they're looking for, because if you go to search for something and you don't find it online, obviously we're not going to pick up the phone anymore and call someone and be patient. We're going to hit the back button faster than you can blink, right? And so that's just become more and more the case. So Marcus, he had this
Good.
pool company. He figured out a lot about content. He decided to write a book called They Ask You Answer. And then that book evolved over time. We did a second edition. He came over here to us at Impact and we co-wrote this new book, Endless Customers. And what Impact does is we are a sales and marketing coaching and training company. So we don't actually do sales and marketing like a traditional agency. We coach businesses on how to implement the Endless Customer system. We really hold them
Great.
accountable. We make sure you're not making any mistakes. And we've developed tools within this system and a set journey within the system that we've proven time and time again works for businesses. And the thing is, because it's based on that principle of trust,
Hmm.
always going to be relevant. Google search is going to come and go, Facebook's going to change, but trust will always be constant. If you ask someone, when did trust start? It's just always been, right? Like, it's just always been, and it always will be. And especially in this skeptical age that we're in with so much AI. So it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, we've got the new book, Endless Customers, and Impact does Endless Customers coaching. That's what we do.
Great. Well, and I mean, you've kind of touched on a lot of things, but the world has really changed
Yeah,
recently.
absolutely.
I mean, even Marcus's time being he was calling himself the pool guy,
Yeah, he's the pool
uh,
guy.
led here, led to this point, but also with AI in
Mhm.
2022. I think it was November
Yeah.
2022. You know, it's changing the goalposts
Yeah.
on everything.
Yeah. And
So,
it's
yeah.
huge. What used to be small changes in the Google algorithm of how you would rank or how you get on the first page has been completely blown up at this point. Now, there is no ranking, there is no second or third. You're either recommended or you're rejected in the eyes of AI. And that's it. And that's a huge shift. And it's not just a shift that we're all going to take at face value. We see shifts with the Google algorithm, but we were all already used to the concept of ranking and algorithms in Google.
Mhm.
Now, people will easily say things like, well, my buyers aren't using AI to search. It's like, you don't know that. Actually, on average, 1 in 4 already are. And that's probably increased since that study was done. But more importantly, we have to keep reminding businesses you can't let your personal opinion get in the way of a smart business decision. And the only way to find out where your buyers are is to test it and to try it.
Well, and speaking of something that Marcus brought up at the talk is that your own chat GPT or
Oh, yeah.
whatever,
Gemini, Claude, whatever you're
LLM,
using. Yeah.
whatever you're using, when it wants to please you
Yes. It
and you've
wants to tell
coached
you
it,
what you want.
and if you ask it where you rank,
Yeah.
it will be biased
Yes, people
to
love to say,
try
"Well,
to
I
please you.
asked ChatGPT and it told me my business." I was like, "Yeah, obviously."
Well, and I think that's actually hard to comprehend when we're used to Google.
Yeah.
It finds something,
I think that's why what I've found, and Marcus didn't talk about this is my personal opinion, but I've found that people who have Androids and use Google Assistant have come around to this idea a lot faster because of the
okay,
concept of Google Assistant. Like, if you explain to people with iPhones, it's kind of like Siri, where it knows you and it's for you. It's not like Google.
it's not Google.
It's a
Yeah.
little bit easier to understand. And so your ChatGPT has gotten to know you, or your Gemini or Claude or whatever, like my Google Assistant got to know me. It was there to serve me. Whereas the
Okay.
only way to get an unbiased view, and Marcus will say, like, go look incognito. That's a good start. If you search something incognito, you're at least not logged into an account. So that's a start. But you're still on Wi-Fi that has a specific location that's related to other people in your household or other people in your business. There's so much data at stake when AI is surfacing a result that you kind of need like a bunch of varied searches averaged out to show you what AI is going to surface. But if you know that competitors are not providing the content to educate buyers that answers the questions they're searching for, and you can, there's no question what AI is going to choose. If the option is a bunch of sites that say call for a quote or
Yeah.
your 3-step pricing estimator, we know exactly what AI is going to pull.
Yeah. And so that goes back into trust
But yeah,
and those 4 pillars. Do you want
yeah.
to walk
Yeah,
us
sure.
through
So
those?
the 4 pillars are: say what others aren't willing to say in your industry, show what others aren't willing to show, sell in a way that others aren't willing to sell, and this one surprises people, be more human than others in your industry are willing to be. And so that is so important in AI, in this age of AI, but sometimes it even means using AI to be human at scale in a way that others couldn't possibly accomplish or be efficient enough to get to without AI. So, it's interesting.
Explain that a bit
Oh,
more.
absolutely, yes. So
Be more human while using AI.
one of my favorite use cases for this is avatar videos, because we see so often, and this is very true in like landscaping businesses. Someone will book a meeting or consultation, and especially if it's online, they'll get a calendar invite, right? I can't think of anything more void of emotion than a calendar invite. Like, there's nothing human about a calendar invite. It looks boring, it feels boring, it's got no substance. Now, a video with someone's face, obviously next level up. Avatar video, and I've actually done this with some of our content, can create a personalized outreach. So you can say something like, if you know that a roofing company, like in our case, we coach and train companies. So a roofing company reaches out to us, and we know we have case studies about roofing companies. My avatar can look at the industry, pull the related case study, and then create a video that says, hey, ABC Roofing, Saw that you booked a call with me. Really excited to chat next week. And before we chat, I know that we have a case study about CDE roofing. Thought you might want to take a look at it. So I'll link it here in this email. This is the avatar of me. This is not the real me, but I want you to know what my face and voice look like so you know who you're getting to talk to. And this is great for so many reasons. One,
Wow.
it can send when you're not online, like if someone books over the weekend. Two, if you're meeting someone in person, they know who to look for. And three,
Yes.
it is much harder to ghost a meeting once you've seen someone's face. You're now saying no to my face, not just my name at whatever.com.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a much more compelling video than just a one-to-many, hi, I'm Stephanie, you're going to be meeting with me. That's something, but providing them value that's personalized and related to them and personalized beyond just first name, company name, it means something to the people. And to the point where I get responses where they say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's an avatar, but it didn't bother me because you sent this good content or because I got to know you. And so it's sometimes getting your face out there is more important than whether or not it's AI.
That is so neat. And so that's something that you coach the businesses on how to set up and
Yeah,
do.
yeah. And I'll
Okay.
be honest, this is like that's advanced.
Okay.
We're typically starting with like, do you have this article on your website?
Well, and back to what you'd said, say what others
Yeah, so human
aren't
is the
willing
fourth
to
pillar.
say.
The
Yeah.
fourth pillar is say what others are unwilling to say. And this should come with an asterisk of that your buyers care about. I'm not saying go just like stomp your feet and throw a fit in your industry. That's not the point. But the point is, if someone is asking something in your industry and you're not addressing it on your website, you need to be. You need to be addressing it in
Yeah.
your content, written, video. And sometimes that's hard for people. It is easy to think about, oh, I'll talk about that on my website. Sure. Then you start pushing people on what those topics actually are. One of the most common, there's five that are the most common. We call them the big five. One of them is cost and price. And
I
Marcus
was
talked
going to
about
say
this.
cost.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
And
so
that's
funny.
something in our industry that a lot of people will say, I'm not putting my costs in because my competition will get them, or it's
Yeah.
the race to the bottom. And it's so not, but it's hard. It's still hard to convince people, I
Yeah, it
find.
is. It's you really have to get people in the place of having an open mind first, because those are all just excuses at the end of the day. My competitors will find out. If you're a good business person, you know roughly what your competitors charge, which means guess what? They know roughly what you charge. It's the big secret, non-secret.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also, as Marcus loves to say, when was the last time your competitors paid your bills? Who cares what they're doing? That's not important here.
Everybody's overheads are different. Everybody has different contracts. Yeah.
Yeah. But what is important is educating your potential buyers about cost in your industry. It should be so educational that they can look at your price and a quote from your potential competitor, and they should be able to say, well, that one's probably higher because of this, because you've educated them so well on what makes the cost go up,
Materials
what makes the cost
or,
go down.
yeah,
Yeah.
excavation is a notorious one. You don't know
Yep.
what you're excavating. So
Yeah.
some people put more cost in because they know that
Hmm.
it will cost more than you think it's going to cost.
Yeah. And we a lot of times people have the exact same question at the very beginning and the very end of their journey to make a purchase, which is how much does it cost? But at the beginning, all they're looking for is roughly how much does this
Yeah.
cost? At the end, they're looking for exactly how much does this cost? And so at the beginning, you don't have to give them a price. You have to educate them about cost and price in your industry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that because, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like you do work with landscape companies
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like our industry is more secretive about cost than other industries. I don't know if you can speak to that.
I think everyone is pretty secretive.
Okay.
I mean,
All
I'll say
industries.
this, we work with a lot of home services industry. So anything
Okay.
related to the home, landscaping, HVAC, roofing, they all are coming around on this journey at the same time. And like I said, it's the big secret, non-secret. Everyone will get there eventually. We all know that the secret sauce is Thousand Island, but the other excuse that I have to touch on, because it always makes me laugh, is, well, the price will scare people away. And, we'll lose potential buyers because the price scares them away, which can you lose that which you do not have? Like,
No.
absolutely not. But also,
Or do you want to waste your time talking
right.
to them? And
Yeah.
it's like, leading
But
them down the garden path and
right.
then them run away after you've
If
wasted
you're
a lot of time.
if the sticker shock is what you're afraid of, there should be no sticker shock because you're educating people along the way. You're teaching them and they get to the end and they go, "Oh, well, you know what? It makes sense why it costs this." And then maybe they have to do a little bit of research or convincing on certain upgrades or what they're going to pay for something. But there should be no sticker shock. That actually only comes when salespeople gatekeep all the information related to price and get people mentally sold on something and then drop the bomb of the price. And so ideally, we're
Yeah.
avoiding that altogether.
Yeah. No, I love that. When I was doing cost estimates way back, I like to meet, like, the clients were always really anxious to get the final cost.
But
And
yeah.
I would go, I want to do it in person and I want to go through it line by line and explain.
Yeah.
You said this part was really important to you, but this is a really expensive line item that we could design differently.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's why that roughly versus exactly is so important. If you can give
yes,
them a ballpark range at the beginning, that's
yes,
going to just remove the stress from people constantly thinking, well, what if I can't afford this? And ignoring everything you're saying. If you can at least get a range in front of them, then they're going to be much more willing to listen to what exactly this costs once they're educated and they have an idea.
yes, yes. And it can often be quite a wide
Yeah,
range as well,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, I think the example Marcus shared with his pool company, it was like a $50,000 range.
Yeah, yeah. And saying, these are the things that can affect it. So
Yeah,
we have to see the site. We have to measure it. We have to do all these things, assess. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. So that
yeah.
was
That's
the
pillar number
first
1.
pillar. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say, and we didn't even get it to the other 4 of the big 5, but those
Yeah. Did
those
you
are
want to
things.
say those? Sorry.
Yeah, so, like, they're the things that you most commonly think about when you're researching making a major purchase, not an impulse buy, and there are things like comparisons, reviews, best of, problems, and people don't wanna make any mistakes, and so it's the standard kind of research, and if you think about it, it's everything that somehow gets surfaced on an Amazon product listing page. It's like they nail it,
Yeah.
all the big 5 right there.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
really say, and I wanna reiterate that say can happen in written content, can happen in video content, can happen in podcasts like this. It's not always just writing on your website. It can be visual content. And so then show, what others are unwilling to show is typically not just show it in like, do the same thing we just said, but in a video. It's really thinking about
Okay.
how can we show something with images, with video that others either don't show or just say. And this is a tough one for people to wrap their heads around sometimes. Things like, we're committed to our customers. We have great customer service. People love to say that. It's like, prove it. How can you show that?
Okay.
You have
Yeah.
customer testimonials. Do you have interviews with people after a landscaping project is complete? I always think of this one company we worked with that builds accessibility ramps. And they'll say, we have the strongest ramps. What they actually did was went and bought their competitors' ramps, lined them up, and drove trucks over them. They were like, look, ours is
Perfect.
actually the strongest ramp.
Yeah.
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 And it's
Prove
so
it.
powerful to
Yeah.
show in such a visual world that we live in what others are either not willing to show or just willing to say.
It is great. That's a great example because I also feel like even during COVID, there was running out of materials everywhere. And so, a lot of cheaper products came on the market.
Yep.
And then we now, I believe that there's so much out there that you don't know how to see what's quality.
Yeah.
You're maybe ordering it no matter what
Yeah.
online.
Yeah. Not to
So
mention that there's so much fake stuff created by AI now. So we're inherently skeptical. We don't know what to believe. And so being able to show something is really, really powerful.
I like that. Thanks for the example. That did help.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. When we get into it, there's a lot of them. It's really interesting. But that's one. All right, on to pillar 3, which I've got to say is my favorite. It's
Okay.
sell. It's sell in ways that others are unwilling to sell. And sometimes this means actually creating that content that we talked about and say, but getting it involved in the sales process. So, what
Mm,
that looks like is thinking about the stages from when someone reaches out to you to when you close a deal and looking at their most common questions in each of those stages. and then creating content that explicitly answers those questions and actually giving it to them, nay, assigning it to them during the sales process. And we call that assignment selling, aptly named. But
Okay.
let's
Yeah.
say someone books an initial discovery call and and most salespeople will know this. Oh, I'm going to do another one of those calls where they're going to ask this, this, and this. Everybody wants to know this, this, and this. What if you never had to answer those again? If you create a video or a guide that answers those most common questions and you send it to someone, you say, hey, really looking forward to our meeting next week. Before we meet, I want you to check out this 2-minute video. It's not long, and it can be long if it's later in the process, but in this
Yeah.
early stage, it's not long, but it's really important that you watch it before we talk. It answers the 3 most common questions we get at this stage of our discovery call. And I want you to watch it ahead of time so that we can have a more productive conversation and get the best use out of our time together. So are you willing to do that? And if they say yes, great. And sometimes we even train companies to go so far as to say, great, I'm going to text you or email you the morning of our call to see if you did. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, we're going to reschedule that call. Yeah.
That is good.
Now that's
Yes.
next level, but it
Okay.
really is about getting those key questions at each stage and
Mm.
lighter content earlier in the process, deeper content when they're more bought in, obviously, and they have more complex questions. Not every call needs to have every question answered with a salesperson holding their hand through every question. In fact, people like the pressure-free environment of consuming that educational content on their own.
Yes.
So we found that that's really helpful. That's one piece of sell.
That is great. And I yeah, I think that the more information they can get without in their own time, because again, it's the hours that your company keeps, and
Yep.
like when people are free. And
Yeah.
everybody has a different schedule. Some people work nights and
Yep.
weekends. Some people work during the day when the only time your office is open. So it
Absolutely.
takes away from their job to, have a meeting with you. And
And for
yeah.
a while there was some traditional marketing and nurturing that said like send a piece of content and then delay 3 days and then email another piece of content. And you're like, that's not how people consume information. They don't go, well, I read one thing, I'll check in 72 hours and see if they sent me something new. Like that's not how it happens at all anymore.
Well, and I think you touched on it. It's anymore. You
Anymore.
know,
Yeah.
we're like, I like to say kind of the Amazonification.
Yeah.
It's like we're used to getting things when we want it.
Instant gratification. Yeah.
Yeah. And so and everything's going in that direction more and more.
Yeah.
So why aren't we keeping up?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that is a perfect lead into the other part of this sell pillar, which sell in ways that others aren't willing to sell. And that is typically through what we call self service tools. And self service tools can be a lot of different things like a pricing estimator, like we talked about, can also be a build it yourself configurator tool, can be an
Mhm.
assessment, an estimator. But the idea with these is, excuse me, the idea with these is that you're giving someone a tool that they can go through similar to what would be in the sales process, where they're asked a series of questions, they provide the relevant answers, and then they're given a piece of information based on that. And that does a couple of things. One is it educates people along the way because if you ask them, and let's take the pool example, you're doing a fiberglass pool. Do you want a concrete or a wood deck? Someone might have no idea. But within that tool, you provide links out to your content that explains the pros and cons of a concrete pool deck, the
Yeah.
benefits of a wood pool deck. So they can get educated and then make the choice that's right for them. You're going to have a much more productive sales conversation because they've already done that research. They've already thought about it. It's not an impulse answer in the moment. And you're not having multiple calls and stalling, waiting for them to figure these things out. They're doing it ahead of time on their own. So they get through these questions, they get through the education, and then they've already kind of gotten a picture of what they want in their minds. And that's created that loss aversion, that sunk cost where somebody's like, I've already committed time to this. I already have an idea of what I want. Now I really want.
Well, and you've given them the tools to help them research. So you've
Yeah.
not even, you know, had them research on their own. Like you said, go to your own site, educate them on the difference
Yeah,
because
you
there's
control
all
a
these options.
conversation and you know that you're giving them the correct information. They're not going to come to you and say, well, ChatGPT said that you can do this and then it's hallucinating and you're not getting the real answer. I love when people say, well, somebody came to me and they had all this wrong information from ChatGPT. It's like, where do you think ChatGPT got the information? Your dumb website that doesn't have anything on it.
yeah, it interpolated or yeah,
Yeah,
made
it's
it
like if
up
you give it the
in
right
between.
information, it will give people the right information. You gotta
Yeah,
put it out there.
yeah, yeah. Gosh, yeah. It makes so much sense when you talk
It's
through it
simple but
like
not
this.
easy, right?
Well, and I was gonna say, can have you had people that try to implement this on their own without the consulting and, how can
Yeah, that's a great
that
question.
work?
So, we definitely have companies that have implemented it on their own. It's a lot harder, and we see a lot less success. Primarily, there's a couple of reasons. One is without a coaching partner to keep you accountable, it's easy to get distracted in business, right? I mean, everybody good who's good at what they do has a coach. Michael Jordan didn't get really good at basketball and then go, I don't need a coach anymore. Like the
Yeah,
coach helps you stay on track,
stay on
holds you
track.
accountable, keeps you improving, especially as we know things are changing so quickly around us. While the core
Mhm.
principles might stay the same, the tactics and strategies evolve. So that's one reason that people want to work with a coach. The other is you don't want to make any mistakes. And coaches
Yeah.
are able to help you avoid and sidestep those common missteps that companies might make on their own if they're doing it on their own. Obviously, we do our best to educate businesses through our content of how to avoid these common mistakes, but sometimes they're not doing all the proper research and training to do it on their own. It is a lot. The other thing that we see is that we have a tool called a scorecard. It's the Endless Customer Scorecard, and we encourage companies to go through it with their team every 90 days. Score yourself on these pillars, on the things that you're doing, see how you're going, and then pick a focus area based on that and based on the typical journey that we see businesses go through and what you should be doing so you don't get ahead of yourself. And it can be hard to answer those questions in the scorecard honestly. It takes some encouragement and some digging and some pushing sometimes to not just go, yeah, yeah, we're doing that. It's like, are you really doing it at a
Yeah,
really
you're
high level?
assessing yourself and you think
Yeah.
you are, but I mean, you're working with lots of different companies
Yeah.
and you're seeing them go on a journey
Yeah.
because that is it. It's not going to just you don't just implement the system in 3 months and you're fine.
Right. Yeah. It's we say it takes about 18 to 24 months to master the principles of endless customers. That doesn't even mean it doesn't mean you work on it for 18 to 24 months and then you're done. It means that that's when you're like really confident and you can back down on the amount of coaching that you need. So
Okay.
we meet every 90 days. Coaches and trainers at Impact meet with teams on an ongoing basis at all different frequencies depending on what they need. But standard minimum, you're meeting with your team every 90 days, you're realigning, you're choosing your focus areas. And another reason that a coach is so important as part of this is, a CEO or a marketing leader might come to something like Synced Live and hear Marcus and get all excited and come back. And without the entire context of the book or his stories, they just go, we're going to put pricing on our website and we're going to list off all our competitors. And people
And
are like,
everybody goes,
yeah, like that doesn't land. And so bringing in the book or bringing in the video is great. But Marcus always says you can be a prophet around the world and no one will listen to you in your hometown. And that is exactly what we see when someone brings in a coach is the business might have even said, look, we've been trying to create more video or we've been trying to create more content for years. I've been saying it. But then someone else comes in and says it. And all of a sudden people hear it in a whole new way.
yeah. Well, and I guess that's the whole thing about the scorecard too. You've done things in a certain way for so long and you can't pull yourself to be out of it to be
Yeah.
completely objective
Yeah. And
to
it's hard when
score
what you've
yourself.
done so far might have worked, but it might not work anymore.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, where are things going from here? I
Yeah.
mean, you've said a few times that, there are different levels when
Yeah.
you're coaching businesses. Depending on where you're starting,
Yeah.
go to this
And
level.
whether or
But
not you
then
have a content manager, whether or not you have someone dedicated to content. We also find that there's a different journey when someone's coming to us from working with an agency that did everything for them versus doing their marketing themselves. And those who do their marketing themselves and their sales training usually have a pretty good understanding of what it takes to own this stuff. Companies that outsource to an agency and are not happy with it have a little bit more of a journey to go on typically, which is why you need to
okay.
own this, why you need to own your messaging, and then the amount of work it actually takes to do it and do it well.
So does that mean that you don't recommend using a marketing company that's external?
We do not. We say that if you are
Okay.
going to be successful with endless customers, Step one is you have to own it in-house. You have to tell your own story. You have to be able to manage your website. And I don't mean all the little technical aspects. I mean, like at minimum, you have to be able to publish content on your website. And you have to have someone who's going to full-time own creating content. Content's obviously the cornerstone of all of this. And you have to have someone dedicated to that full-time in-house.
Well, so that it's great to have those, it's like this is how it works best. There's also a range of business sizes that work best for this,
Yes. Yeah.
obviously, too. So can you talk us through that?
For sure. Yeah. So we find that businesses over 3 million in revenue at minimum start to do well with this. 5 is really ideal, just because at that point you typically have the capacity to have someone dedicated to content full time. If you only
Yes.
have 1 or 2 employees, obviously that's going to be really difficult. And then
Yeah.
we find $5 to $50 million in revenue is typically where you can make a big cultural change like this, implement a system that's company wide, and see real success with it. Any bigger than that, it's a different kind of challenge. It's not that it can't work, it absolutely can. But 5 to 50 million in revenue is the sweet spot we've found for companies that are both willing and able to do this.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a great benchmark for listeners to understand. And we'll also put links in the podcast notes on, how to find out more and if okay to
Yeah,
how to contact
absolutely.
you.
For
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
That yeah, I think that you've really framed it well. We've gone over the 4 pillars. What is there anything that we haven't covered that you think is important for people to know at this point, in the
I would
journey?
say 2 small things. One is there are 5 components to this system that you have to strengthen within your sales and marketing to nail these 4 pillars. And so
Okay.
they are your content, your sales activities, your website, your technology, which is how you track all of this. So like your CRM, your marketing, your
Yeah.
reporting, and then your culture. This is a culture shift. It's not just a set of tactics. It's a system that your entire company is going to rally around. So those 5 things have to be strong or get strong through the program. And then the other is that because it's a system, anyone who's ever implemented a system, something like EOS, the entrepreneurial
Yeah.
operating system, is going to really understand this. If you've done EOS, this is like the EOS for sales and marketing. And we find that really resonates with people.
Okay. Okay. That is good. Yeah. It takes a dedicated time for the whole team.
Yeah.
It
And it's
it
it's a
takes
big
buy-in.
shift usually. Yeah. But if you have buyers who are researching heavily before working with you, or you have an in-house marketing team that wants to optimize what you're doing, excuse me, if you are tired of outsourcing to an agency, if you find that your sales cycles are really slow and lagging, you have multiple sales calls to get where you need to be, like those are all green flags for endless customers for sure.
Okay. Great. Well, Stephanie, this has been great. I think you've answered so many of my questions,
I'm glad.
and
My pleasure.
yeah, I think really it's such a I love the idea of trust being a cornerstone of what we do, especially in our industry when there's so much uncertainty and it's too easy to say, "Oh, it's too hard to put cost."
Yeah.
That is the easy way out.
Yeah. People love to say, oh, we can't. The one Marcus always says, right, is, but we're different. It's like,
Yeah,
you're not that different. We're all in the business of trust.
we are. And we all know, I mean, you should know your overheads. You should know, the rough, maybe cost per square foot or, of
Yeah,
whatever
it's
you're
not
building.
most businesses, not that they can't, it's that they won't. And that's where the pillars came from.
We can do better,
Yeah,
right?
let's do better.
And I think AI, and, coming back to that, if if you don't do it, you know,
There's no page 2
you get
anymore.
left you get left behind.
Yeah, it's recommended or rejected these days and moving
There
forward.
that's one thing. The there is the little was it like a blue
Yeah.
mark or something that would say this company publishes costs on their
Yeah, so
website.
you'll start to see more and more now in the AI summarized Google search results in ChatGPT. If you search for something like landscaping something service, you'll get a list of companies, near me, get a list of companies, and Google and AI summaries will actually put little tags that say like includes online estimate, talks about cost and price, lists price. And then what's even more interesting is now there's an AI tool or button there that says get prices for me. And if you click it, the AI tool that you're using will then reach out to the company or look on their website, see what they can find. If they can't find anything, they're going to send something back to the person who thinks they're getting a price and say, hey, this company doesn't provide anything. So it's not only rewarding those who are doing it right and surfacing that information, but it's definitely going to call out those who aren't as well.
And if that's not a big warning sign for everyone, I don't know what is.
Yeah,
What
get to
is.
work.
Yes. So first things, first get your cost out there,
Yeah.
educate your clients,
And then
build
go to
trust.
endlesscustomers.com and read the book.
Yes, yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's a great steer for everybody. Just go and do it. We'll have the link and details in the show notes and get started on it today. Don't
Yeah.
wait. Well, thanks, Stephanie, for joining us. Do you
Yeah.
want
Thanks
to
for having me.
add anything before we go?
I'll just say that my event, Endless Customers Live, which is the
Yes.
conference for Endless Customers, is happening 26 March 30th through April 1st in Chicago, and then October 5th through the 7th in Hartford, Connecticut. And if you're really slow on the game and you're listening to this in late 2026, we already know it's April 5th, 2027. So, whichever one you want to come to, whenever you manage to listen to this episode, I hope you'd consider joining us if you're interested in Endless Customers.
Great. I'll put the event links
Thanks.
too. So we'll do that in the show notes too. Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. Great to
Thank
have you
you.
on. Great to meet you in person
You
and
too.
then have this call. And yes, let's stay in touch
For
because I
sure.
think things are going to continue to change and evolve. So
Absolutely.
great. Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.